to eat house hockey for as long as I can remember, the most wonderful time of the year. This guy is busy, however, hosting all things studio over Comcast Sportsnet. I watch a lot of his work along with Alan May, along with Jill Sorensen. Everybody knows I'm a pretty big Caps fan. I've also seen a lot of Wizards activity here lately. I'll track down Dave Johnson before the week's over, and we'll talk some Wizards. But Rob Carlin is at CSN. You know him at Rob Carlin CSN out on Twitter as well. And, this is the time of year you got to get some rest, right? I know there's a lot of manly pressure, especially when you're hanging out with guys like May, to start growing the beard. And I want you to know, right before this broadcast, I shaved, and you can see that out on Facebook Live. Dude, I don't know that I can do the beard. Like, I'm very, very concerned about how the Preakness pictures are going to look. Because, quite frankly, I think that the Caps are going to hang in this a while. I don't know that they're going to win the Cup. I want to be a believer. But I have a feeling on Preakness weekend there will still be hockey here locally. And then it's up to the Caps to figure out how they're going to make this thing roll.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, my beard grows in quickly and then stops. So
really? You have one of those?
Yeah,
we're all different, aren't we? Like, some people have little patches. Some people, like Luke Jones grows the greatest James Brolin beard, and he just, but he's not a hockey fan. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, my problem, too, is there's now, like, a lot of gray in my beard.
Dude, you mean Ovechkin. Yeah. He looks like a gnome when he grows his, right? It's awful.
I know. So, but I think the Caps are going, if we were so inclined, they are going to give us ample time to grow it out, because I'm with you. I think, and I've said it, definitely last year, and I think there was one other year, a couple of years ago, where I said, look, the Caps are the overwhelming favorite. And I felt confident about it then. I feel more confident about it now. It's the best team they've ever put together. It's the best coach they've ever had. The GM has filled in every blank. Every weakness that they had coming off of last year, they filled it. And there hasn't been a consistent weakness all season. You can point to a stretch here or a stretch there, but their four lines have been rolling all season long ever since they found the right positions for, everyone kind of fell into place. Daniel Winnick was healthy, scratched early. He became a fourth-line guy. Brett Connolly was healthy, scratched early. He became a third-line guy. Burakovsky, emerged. And once they got that all figured out and moved the defensive pairings and broke up, Alzner and Carlson, it has all just worked. So, yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. If we were going to do a live vote on our show yesterday, we did a playoff preview, and it said, what's your confidence level? I'll see it when I believe it.
We'll all believe it when we see it, though.
Right. Or it better be the year. I mean, and that's what it is now. It better be the year, because this group's going to be broken up in some way, shape, or form next year, and this core that's been together for 7-8 years now, the remnants of the young guns, this is it. So, I do believe that they are by far the best team in hockey and should at least get to the Cup Finals. Anything short of that, and really honestly at this point, anything short of winning the Cup is going to be a disappointment.
Rob Carlin joining us here from CSN. I will be busy watching him, although I won't be watching as much of you. My wife will be, because she's stuck here. I'm going to Toronto next week, so nice. I'll miss some of the broadcasting stuff there. I'll be doing broadcasting on my own from the CN Tower and whatnot. But I want to get off the team for a minute, because we had Trotzy out last month at Greenmount Station. We swabbed for the Bone Marrow Registry. We went up and down, and I've known Trotz for 3 decades. I have this incredible affinity, friendship, love, that lasted throughout all the years in Nashville, where my wife and I had Nashville Predator stuff and flew down there and did Fang Fingers for 15 years as well. So, there's a piece of me riding on this in a way, that there's quite frankly never been for me. I know why I love hockey, and I've loved hockey for 4 decades. What's your background with hockey? Because I know you did Islanders and stuff, but you clearly love and have an appreciation for all of this, and not every broadcaster does. I mean, I remember meeting Ted Leon just 20 years ago and said, I'm the only guy in Baltimore who will ever care about your hockey team. And 20 years later, Rob, it's true. I'm the only guy in Baltimore that cares about that hockey team, but I've always cared about hockey, and I've never had any problem expressing why I love it. Just put it on Thursday night. Put it on Saturday night. Put the games on and watch the action, watch the integrity with which it's played, and then doing it every night and realizing there's only one cup. Hockey has the best story. It's the best sport. I think if you came down from Mars and had never seen football, baseball, basketball, rugby, hockey would be the one that would catch your attention. But what's your background with it?
Well, I grew up in Long Island, and I grew up in the 80s. So
that's that.
When I was 9 years old, the Islanders won I was 8 years old. The Islanders won their first Stanley Cup 4 in a row. And you're 8, 9 years old, and you have what Sports Illustrated, after they won their 4th cup in a row, the last professional sports team to do that, they called them the greatest team to ever lace on skates. And, I was in the Coliseum the night they won their 2nd cup.
Wow.
Chanting, Butchie, Butchie for Butch Goring, who won the Conn Smythe that year. And then, 30 years later, I'm hosting pre- and post-game shows on MSG Network with Butch Goring. It was, so I remember sitting at a lunch with him in a hotel on the road, and he sat down with me and starts telling me stories about Gretzky and all these great battles that they had back in the day. And he talked for, 10, 12 straight minutes. And he looks, he's, I'm sorry, I'm boring. Am I boring you? I was like, Butch, if you told the 10-year-old me that I'd be sitting at a table eating lunch and listening to stories from Butch Goring, my head would have exploded. You could talk all day if you want. We could skip the game tonight. I'm fine with this.
So my first Caps game was an Islanders game at the Cap Center. I talked my dad and my stepbrother into going down to the Capitol Center. I had seen a million Clippers games, but my first game was the Islanders. And you know why? They were the best team. If there was a night to go down to Landover, which might as well have been driving into Baghdad for my family from Dundalk, you know what I mean? They didn't know where the Capitol Beltway was. They felt like it must have been a day trip. We had to pack sandwiches, the whole deal. And, it was a 7:30 skate on the beautiful baby blue ice of the Capitol Center and, into the Cap Center. And I think they might only had 2 cups then, maybe 3, but it was toward the, it was in the 81, 82 range around there. And, there's Billy Smith and there's Al Arbor and there's Bossy and there's Trottier. And by the way, I had a similar experience with one of your friends there on the island. Dennis Potvin, other than Reggie Jackson, the biggest dick I ever met in sports, ever. And Potvin still sucks. I agree with the Rangers fans, not on much, but on that. But, it is amazing that you take this with you your whole life, and you've had a moment in hockey that, quite frankly, I never had. The Skipjacks never won the Calder Cup. Trotz left here, went up to Maine and won 2, right? So the Capitals clearly have never tasted it. But once you get a taste, it's like me in 83 with the Orioles, right? Right. I watched the Orioles lose in 79, win in 83, and the Orioles haven't come near that again. And I think I get on the phone with the Red Sox people this week, right? I mean, the Orioles are playing up there. I mean, Boston's made it look easy all the way around, and even the Ravens have made this thing, have spoiled the fan base here. But this is a rarefied air for the Wizards, for the Caps, for Ted. I think for the area to have a little bit of a run going on here in April and May and into June, that at least one of these 2 teams is going to take it deep. I think it's the Caps, but that's just me,
Yeah, no, I agree, and this is a good time for DC sports, and certainly for our network having the Wizards on the cusp of 50 wins for the first time in 40 years, and the Caps being this good for this long. I mean, the stat that jumped out at me about the Caps that I read the other day was they joined the mid-'70s Canadians as the only 2 teams to ever win 55-plus games in back-to-back seasons. So, you start hearing that, and you're like, whoa, this is, those Canadian teams were, one of the great ever. Yeah, so, the Caps have done this. It's been sustained success. Obviously, the difference is those Canadian teams lift the cup, and that's what the Caps have to do. But this is a good time, and you're right. I mean, winning those cups, even though it feels like 7 lifetimes ago that the Islanders were, the best team in hockey, because they have not just been bad, but for the most part been an embarrassment for a long, most of the 30 years since then. But once that's in your DNA and you're raised on that, I mean, again, I was 8, 9, 10, and 11 when they won 4 straight cups. To me, that was, hockey's great. Every year my team wins the championship. And they went to a 5th against Edmonton and lose to the Gretzky-Messier team that, eventually became the next dynasty. And I was at my friend's house was going to spend the night, and it was game 4. I think they got swept that year, game 4. And as it started to dawn on me, oh my God, the Islanders are not going to win. I had to call my parents and be like, "Get me out of here now! I can't be here. I'm going to start crying." And my mom was like, "Send Rob home." And I went home and cried my eyes out because I couldn't believe that my team lost. What do you mean they lost? So,
well, in '86, I was there when the Caps completed the sweep in the playoffs, and they threw all the stuff on the ice. That was the only time I ever went to the Nassau Coliseum. Was little Rob Carlin at that game? I was there with Big Phil Jackman. No?
Hello? Oh, I'm sorry. Was I at that game?
Yeah, '86.
I was not at that game. No, I did go to a ton of games. We'll call him my uncle. Season tickets, and I used to go all the time. And again, I was in the Coliseum when they beat the Minnesota North Stars to win their second. And I went to a ton of games, but I was not at that game, so we did not bump into each other in the crammed hallways.
Well, I mean, it was my only trip. Billy Joel's playing up there again. I mean, they've. What's the future of that franchise? Moving to Barclays Center, and I mean, you talk about a team without a home, and they've had all these different bankrupt buyers over the years. I mean, the Orioles have been a mess with one owner. The Islanders have done it with a half dozen, right?
Oh, I know. It's the 30 for 30 that came out a couple of years ago that Kevin Connolly from Entourage did. About John Spano, who bought the team with literally no money, had zero money in his bank account. And somehow, again, those 4 cups, we all made deals with the devil because it has been awful ever since. So what's the future? I have no idea, man. They got to get out of Brooklyn. That's not working. John Ledecky is the new owner. He's the new majority owner. He kind of took a year to oversee things and not make any major changes other than, they fired their coach, Doug Waite. Looks like he could be the long-term fix. But I will say this. I would say, and we're probably boring your listeners with Islanders talk, but when Dean Lombardi was fired on Monday from the L.A. Kings, I said, if he's not on the Islanders call list for the first thing Tuesday morning to go, whatever you want. What do you want? You want full control? Take full control. They got to get Garth Snow out, give that guy control, get out of Brooklyn somehow, whether it's to the new revamped Coliseum or figure out where they're going to build an arena finally in the mobbed-up Long Island that can't get anything done, and finally get that franchise together again because, for so many of us, that's in our blood, man. We grew up part of it. It's like Baltimore. Everyone lives so close. You're around these guys so much. It's not a big, huge city. It was Long Island. That was our team. Sure, there was the Mets and the Yankees and the Knicks, but that was like in the Bronx and New York City, and this was our team on Long Island. This is all we had.
Other than Billy Joel. Of course, you had Billy Joel.
Other than Billy Joel, yes. You had Billy Joel
you did have Billy
and
Joel.
the Islanders, and that was it.
He is Rob Carlin, CSN out on Twitter. All right, back to the Caps here and back to these pressures. And it is interesting you'd say, what's going on with the Kings and the Islanders and the bad teams and, firing coaches and all that because there is that Black Monday thing going on in the NHL. But around here, we don't even notice any of that. It's how do you get through Toronto? Hey, they almost drew Boston. They almost drew Ottawa. I am happy with the Toronto draw because I'm happy to go to Toronto next week and broadcast and sort of hang out up there and be in the epicenter of the hockey kingdom. I think it's a little dangerous for the Caps, right? I mean, from the media perspective, from the fact that there's no expectation at all. If the Leafs win a game or two in this series and at least make it interesting going into Game 5 or a potential Game 6, I think they would look at that as an incredible moral victory. But I think going back and forth across the border and having to go back up there for a Game 6, that could get tricky, Rob. You know that.
Yeah, except that's not going to happen.
Hope so.
So they're not going back for Game 6. I predicted yesterday in our playoff preview, and you can see it on my work Facebook page for a shameless plug.
Perfect.
I predicted a 5-game series, which I think is the most popular thought right now. Alan May one-upped me and called for a clean sweep. I mean, he just sees...
I like the way he thinks. That's good.
Yeah, and he just looked at Toronto, and, the Caps are better everywhere. They're better forwards, they're better scorers, they're better defensively, they've huge advantage in goal, and he just thinks that the way it all went down last year, that they are determined to not even give Toronto any life and get to the second round and be well rested and hope that Pittsburgh and Columbus beat the hell out of each other and, coming off of a 7-game series. So I like Carl Alsner at practice the other day said, I like to think of us as the North Carolina basketball team. We're on a redemption tour. So, they know that last year ended way prematurely.
I love that redemption. Yeah. I'm gonna be using that redemption tour. That's gonna be the hashtag I'm gonna use. I like it.
Yes, it was a great when it hit. I think it was actually after the final game. It hit Twitter while we were on the air in our post game show. And I loved it.
Dude, I'm seeking redemption for the Flyers in '87. I'm seeking redemption for the Bruins in '96. I'm seeking redemption for the Red Wings in '98. I've been through it all, and I guess for Ovechkin, a couple of these guys have their name on the cup, right? So, for Orpik, for Williams, okay, fine. But, boy, there's a lot of soul-searching going on all the way through from Mitch Korn to Trotz to Holtby to Ovechkin to Backstrom. There's a lot of hunger here, right? There's a lot of pent-up frustration that every fan feels, every long-term fan feels, everybody that worked within the organization, for Ted, for everybody. But even for the guys on the ice, I don't think they feel the heaviness of, let's say, the Kelly Rudy 3-overtime night in '87. I do, because I was there, and LaFontaine, and I know that was a pretty good Easter Eve for you up there on the island, as I remembered as well. But it doesn't feel heavy for these guys. They sort of kind of feel loose, but it's only loose until you're down 2-0 on Thursday night, somehow,
right,
some way, and then is there a little yellow puddle on the ice? And that can't happen. And I know Trotz has tried to sort of tone down the history and say, we're the best team, we believe we're the best team. Then they got to go prove that over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and he has said that, and he's called on the fans. Jill Sorensen sat down with him last week, and there was a great soundbite where he was like, I don't know why the fans should be nervous. We're the ones playing. Let us be nervous. You guys just enjoy this. He really was like, we need the fans to be loud, to be supportive, But, like you just said, there's 35 years of history and expectation and, failed playoff runs and missed opportunities that I get why the fan base is puckered up, and I get why it's, I'll believe it when I see it and all of that stuff. But so I agree with you there. I disagree with you on the fact that they don't carry the weight of Kelly Rudy in the 80s. I think that this core group has heard it so much. They've lived it so much. They've added to it, unfortunately, so much that they know. Justin Williams has been here a couple of years, and I think when you walk into the Caps franchise, an organization, and this city, because D.C. is such a city of how is the bottom going to drop out next? How are the Nationals going to blow another playoff series? How are the Wizards going to, be terrible again this year? How are the Redskins going to embarrass us again this year? There's such a feeling of doom and gloom that it's tangible. These guys know it. They hear about it all the time. And anytime they do a radio interview or a TV interview, we bring it up. So I think they absolutely feel the weight of all those failures. And, they're professional athletes, so they're able to, that ain't my problem. I didn't lose that game in 1986. I was, 8. So they're able to wash it off, but they definitely feel the weight of it. And I think it's important to this group because they know that their legacies are now riding on it, and Alex Ovechkin's legacy is riding on it. And this group, they understand, is not going to be together again, ever. And there's a good chance that, one or two of the core guys are going to be gone and next year. And the core guys being the young gun type guys, Alsner, Carlson, Backstrom, those guys, they're going to be broken up. They just financially can't afford it. So, yeah, man, it better be the year. It better be the year. I don't know how many more times you can be the best team in hockey in the regular season and then fail in the playoffs. So they are, as I said, Brian McClellan's done an amazing job plugging all the holes, and Barry Trotz has got a pulse of the team and what works and what doesn't. And like you said right off the top, I don't know if they're going to win it. it's a long grind. It's the toughest thing to do in sports is get through the Stanley Cup playoffs, but they're built to do it. So now they got to do it.
All right, man. Well, I'll be checking in throughout this little run. Hopefully it's a long run. Hopefully a lot of people are getting ugly, including Ovechkin, and we see just what he would look like in the middle of June after not shaving for, 8 or 9 weeks. So hopefully we'll get to that point. I think Trotz would be very, very ugly with a beard. I'm hoping he shaves, and I told him that. But, hey, man, great having you on. Great for the visit, and, good luck to your Islanders. But for now, it's CAPS, Caps, and we'll be rocking the red and watching your work there. Tell Alan May that there's no doubt who the star of the series is going to be. It's going to be some guy like Beagle or Winnick, because it always is, right?
Yes, it always is. Yep, it's those guys every single year. So we're looking forward to it. We're going to have all kinds of hour pregame shows and hour postgame shows. We've added a new show called Caps Overtime, and same for the Wizards. It's kind of a more loose, free-flowing show, really about the fans. And then Sports Talk Live and all. It is literally, we're on the air all night for every game night. So definitely check out CSN's coverage. We'll have you covered from every angle for Wiz and Caps. We're pretty excited.
Eat your Wheaties and get some rest, Rob Carlin. It's going to be a long journey.
All right, man. Enjoy Toronto.
You got it. Rob Carlin, CSN is the way to find him out on Twitter as well as at Comcast Sportsnet. You can find me in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear, waiting on the NFL schedule. We've got the trip to London all put together. If you want to get on that, we're offering a $100 off discount right now. Just throw me an email, nasty@WNST.net. Trying to find all those folks that have been on our road trips in the past. We're going to Green Bay, we're going to Nashville, we're going to Minneapolis, and wherever the Raiders are playing as well. Nasty@WNST.net finds me. I am a very available individual. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook and our YouTube, and headed off to Toronto with the Caps next week. Hope my passport still works. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.